To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Dueling Disney podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Andy Zomerman.
And I am the other one of your hosts, Al Day.
We thought we'd talk about Disney with you this week, since it's on our title.
You know, I'm getting a little bored with Disney. We're talking about like the Fleischer Studios in the 1930s and the Popeye cartoons. I mean, I really enjoyed them.
I know you did. That's a whole world I know nothing about.
You know nothing about Popeye? Okay, let me explain.
I know about that he's a sailor man. And yeah.
And he lives in a garbage can.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was the version I sang. Exactly. He's also strong to the finish because he eats his spinach.
Oh, God. Okay, we're off topic. We can't get off topic. We're on Disney. What was your Disney week?
Okay, so my Disney week was pretty cool because even though I'd seen this in the theaters, this came on Disney Plus recently, and I love it. And this may be sacrilege to some people, but I love it even more than the original. I spent last night watching West Side Story and all of the extras to West Side Story, and I love West Side Story. I love the original, and when this one came out, I was like, ugh, I hate when they remake stuff. And I think this one was actually better than the original, and I thought Ariana DeBose as Maria was amazing.
Yeah.
And West Side Story, and it didn't make a lot of money in the theaters, but I think it's because people just kind of maybe didn't know or whatever. That Spielberg's a heck of a director. I just gotta
put that's cool. And I still haven't seen it, and I'm glad it's on Disney Plus now. But you've got to attribute COVID stuff to some of the not making it in the theater, because it used to be that even like smaller films would make money in the theater, but I'm not going to the theater I'm not on a regular basis. I mean, I think I've only been once.
Yeah. I mean, I go fairly regularly. I went and saw the Batman this week, but I went and saw The Godfather also this week because it was the 50th anniversary. Again, good movie. I don't know if people are aware of it, but I think those kids in that movie are going to have a bright future. That Pacino guy.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. But West Side Story is just really amazing, and Rita Moreno, who played Maria in the original, is in it, and it's not just a cameo. She actually has a really good part that I think made the whole thing better. It's, oh my God, I could just talk about West Side Story forever, but
we need to have a new podcast. Do we need to have a West Side Story podcast?
The Straight Guys Talk About Musical Theater podcast. The only thing is, and I had this problem with the original too, is the actor that plays Tony is just not as good.
You said that.
It was true in the original. He was better than the original guy, but still, but everybody else was fantastic. And he wasn't bad. He just was not a compelling lead, I think. But they gave that character a better backstory. It's just all around, like, the improvements they made, I thought were great. And they actually have people of Latinx descent playing Puerto Rican.
Imagine that.
So, 1,000%. Like, I just love West Side Story, and I'm never going to be young enough to play any role in West Side Story. Maybe Officer Krupke, but even that.
There you go.
That's me. There you go. West Side Story on Disney Plus.
Well, you're not the only one who used that for your Disney week. Suzanne watched West Side Story this week for her Disney week, and I'll tell you why I know that, because
I was curious why you knew that.
Yeah, this is part of my Disney week. I'm so excited about this, and 82 people already know about it. So I'm hoping that more will know about it after this podcast. But I was thinking to myself, we ask these questions after the podcast every week, right? We have these questions, and there's things I want to know, but there's no way people would have to like physically go on to Facebook and say nobody thinks about doing that, right? Facebook's a scrolling tool. Instagram's a scrolling tool. It's not good for community, which is what I really want. And I think you really want that too, seeing as we're both in education. And
I very much want community.
Yes,
as long as I don't have to talk to people.
Yeah, that's a bad thing. Right.
Yeah.
So I set up our Dueling Disney community duelists, because then everybody can duel. It's not just us, and share opinions as little things or
And
controversial
the internet was
things.
built for arguing.
It was. And I'm like, we need to take advantage of that. So the reason I know that Suzanne watched West Side Story is because I put the question out there. What are you guys doing? What did you do for your Disney weeks? And you guys, it has made me so happy to hear what people are doing for their Disney weeks. It's just so cool. And so I know Suzanne said she watched West Side Story. Allie started watching Loki. So she's got to catch up there. Tanya watched Encanto for the first time. And I have been listening to that soundtrack like nonstop. I'm going
to stop you right there because you're going to talk about Bruno.
I'm not going to talk about Bruno.
We don't talk about Bruno.
We don't talk about Bruno, but surface pressure, let me tell you, I get it. The drip, drip, drip. Oh my gosh. So good. So good. Trisha introduced a friend to Roger Rabbit who had never seen it before.
Oh, wow.
I bet there's a lot
That's
of
awesome.
people that haven't seen Roger Rabbit. So that's actually kind of cool. And then I love the little picture.
Have they ever done the Roger Rabbit?
I don't know. That's true. That's taken us back.
Yeah.
That's taken us back.
Way back.
And then Melissa showed a little picture of her and her kid coloring mini pages, which I thought was
that's
so cute. So,
I heard from a colleague, Andrew, I was on an actual real world meeting and he private chatted me that he was really enjoying the dueling duelists.
Oh,
the Disney duelist page.
Yes,
so
because we're all duelists. It's not just you and me. And as much as I love you, like we've been arguing for a long time. So we need some.
Our arguing predates both of your children and your marriage. So,
that is so true.
Of course, my life has changed none in that same,
that is
30 years.
So true. Yeah. Good point.
Good
point. But yeah, we've actually been arguing in our lifetime more than we haven't. So there you go. We've got that going on. So it's time to bring in some new friends and just listen to what they have to say. And when I think about the why of our podcast and like why we started this, well, of course it's so that everybody could hear us argue, because who wouldn't want to hear that?
Yeah.
But it is to like bring in other people who are into Disney as much as we are, or even not, right? And just like want to do it. And so it has just made my heart feel so good in a week that has been so horrific in the world. Yeah. And just we're watching the news constantly about Ukraine, and my heart is just breaking. But then when I can just flip over and see what other people are doing just to lighten up their hearts and their days a little bit. I know that sounds super cheesy.
No. It's just, I'm thinking the world has been pretty bad since we started this podcast. And all of a sudden, is it us?
I'm sure that's totally us.
Just starting to wonder.
Is it a coincidence? I don't know. So yeah, that's been a big part of my Disney week, is just kind of throwing out questions and hearing people's answers. And right now I am drinking my coffee with you. So with Expedition Roasters, I'm drinking their coffee. We haven't talked about them in a long time, but I don't know if you guys know how good Expedition Roasters is. And so right now I am drinking their Ghoulish Delight, which is like a cinnamon bun flavor. So good. And I did put my order in. I needed to order more. They've got this new one out called Thunderstruck, and it's got this like really cool picture of Thor, not the Marvel Thor, but well, you'll have to go to the link to see it, and I'll put the link on the show notes so you can see it. But it's a very, very cool artwork. That's part of the cool thing about their coffee too, is that all of their bags and mugs and everything just have this really cool Disney artwork. So it's worth it. Just click on the link and click shop and go to the coffee and teas and things, and you can see like the artwork is amazing on their bags and their mugs. So it's really cool.
I love the artwork on their bags. And I am a flavored coffee guy. People call me a coffee snob. I'm like, you can't be a coffee snob if you like flavored coffee, but I love their flavored coffee. And like I remember the first time I had one, I was just kind of like, whatever. And I think the first one I had was, oh my God.
Was it the rum?
Yeah. Oh my God. The rum was so good.
The rum one. That is so good. Yeah. I do love that.
Really good. And I dig the coffee, and I gotta order more. I'm probably going to order more after we finish recording, because it's a really good coffee, and I drink way more coffee than I should.
I think we all do. I think that's just part of life right now. So yeah, I'm excited for my 2 flavors to come in, and I'll let you know how those are when I get them. But right now, the cinnamon bun one is doing okay. So not sure that this is.
Now, is it cinnamon bun or is it churro?
Yeah. No, there is a churro one. There is a churro
I know.
one.
That's why I was wondering. The
No, I
cinnamon
have the
bun.
cinnamon bun. It's Ghoulish Delight. And it's got like this little, yeah.
Because the reason I thought is because I thought of the churro stand right outside of the Haunted Mansion.
Oh, yes, you would know that. At Disneyland.
At Disneyland.
Not necessarily Disney World. I think we learned last time that we spoke about that Disney World doesn't have near enough churro stands.
Yeah, what's that
Disneyland.
about?
It is just a cultural thing, I think, between West and East. But we are used to our churros.
It's an East Coast, West Coast Disney feud.
There you go. Churros. We need more churros. So anyway, yeah. So lots of stuff. Big news though in the last 2 weeks since we recorded, and wow, the Galactic Starcruiser opened, the Star Wars Hotel, the cruise-like experience on a Starcruiser that costs for a family of four roughly $6,000 for 2 days. Yes. Mm-hmm. And
Sorry,
so if you are a top, I got to know Disney all the time, you've probably seen a million YouTube videos by this point, or Instagram, every single influencer that's anything has shown pictures. So
right, because they all got invited.
Well, there's a reason for that.
Right.
There's a reason for that. And so
they're influencers and we're just people.
Yes. Yeah.
We're just middle-aged people who don't really seek to influence anybody.
That is correct. Okay. That is correct.
Because our whole vibe is, do you? I don't really care.
But we do like to talk about it. We like to talk about everything, even though we don't do it. But
if you're listening to this podcast right now, you're like, I don't even like Disney. Why are you listening to this podcast? Just don't. Like, we don't care.
You want to hear us argue?
We got jobs. We don't care.
We do have jobs. We do have jobs. So it's really, really an expensive excursion for a 2-day trip. And I like how they on their actual page, on Disney's actual page, where you can see all the information about the Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser, they make it like a little bit less. So it'll say like 2 guests per cabin. It's just $1,200 per night, or $4,800 total. But then,
to be fair, which is exactly how cruise lines do, they just make you think it's a lot cheaper than it is.
Absolutely. But a cruise line is normally at least, come on, the shortest cruise that you take really is like 3 days, correct?
Right.
And I mean, you could take a family of 4 on a Caribbean cruise for way less than to go on the Galactic Starcruiser for 2 days. So I've been really, really curious about it. And really, I'm not one. You're usually more of the YouTube guy who like researches everything on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I'm not usually, but when this came out, I was hooked. I was fascinated. I was even not meeting in person, but to myself, like scoping out new YouTubers and new Instagram, because I wanted to see everything. And I was so fascinated by the influencers. There were a lot of influencers who were invited to go for free for the first little cruise, so they could video everything and not video anything. A lot of those influencers also paid to go so that they could see if there was a difference.
Tax write-off.
Yeah, well, that too. Some influencers only did the paid and not the media tour. I kind of liked watching those better. Did you get the sense that those were more honest and less influenced by the free trip? No, I think everybody that I watched, and trust me, there's millions out there, and I watched maybe a handful, less than 10. That would be 2 handfuls. Is
that technically how we measure handfuls?
I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. The media tour, you could tell it was a media tour. You could just tell there were some differences in the paying guests and the media tour. One thing I did see, if you don't know, just if you don't know, let me back up a little bit, just for the non-Disney person who happens to be tuning in right now.
And seriously, the podcast is called Dueling Disney. I mean, you had to know what you were getting into.
This is true. Okay, so just a brief, because you probably already know what Galactic Starcruiser is, just in case you don't. It is a 2-day cruise that goes nowhere, although it suspension of disbelief. You are going into space. You are definitely traveling to the planet Batu. You are engaging with personalities on the ship, the captain, the cruise director,
Julie, Doc.
Yeah, exactly.
Isaac.
Not that. I know they should. God, if only.
Disney invite me to write the Love Boat Galactic Starcruiser crossover for Disney Plus, because
I think that would be a moneymaker right there, a money maker. So what you're looking at for this 2-day trip is not just a hotel, right? It's not just a hotel. It's like this all-inclusive hotel that also happens to have a murder mystery theater type component. Also happens to have an escape room type component, and you're constantly like figuring out these missions and puzzles and everything like this. Cosplay is really huge on this. And so it is like, it's honestly, it's my daughter Annika. This would be like her dream. Are you kidding? Like theater and escape room and Star Wars, like, whoa, right? And so for a lot of people,
sorry, you sounded like Joey from Blossom.
Whoa. But I just it would be her thing. I want to get your, before I go further, let me get your reaction on some of it.
Okay, so for our listeners, I'm intensely rubbing my eyes as to try to form a cohesive thought in sort of a frustrating look. Here's my thing, right? Annika and I are very similar people. Mm-hmm. I'm big on improv. Mm-hmm. I'm big on Star Wars. I am of the age where my mom and dad took me to see Star Wars in the original run in the movie theater, and it was amazing. And I had in the 70s, and I had the little land speeder, and I really wanted the Millennium Falcon, but we couldn't afford to get it. So I am of the Star Wars generation. And I love cruising. Cruising is probably my favorite way to vacation. And I love Disney. And all of that seems like this is the kind of thing geared exactly for a guy like me. And I just, A, it costs too much. I'm sorry, it just costs too much. B, one of the things I like about cruising is that we're going to stop in really cool places. The only place you're going to stop is in Batu, which you can go to Batu just by buying a ticket to Walt Disney World pretty easily for way less. And they say it's a 2-day sort of excursion, but like literally half of one of those 2 days is going to Batu.
Yeah.
Which has some really cool shops and 2 attractions.
Uh-huh. Which you get lightning lane passes are included.
Lightning lane passes are included.
Which is probably like $2,000 right there. So
I, as a theater person, and I know Annika is very connected with escape rooms. I hate escape rooms.
So do I.
I hate them. I just don't like them. My friends took me to an escape room on my birthday. And while it wasn't the worst birthday I ever had, that aspect of it was pretty bad. Mm-hmm. And so I don't see having an escape room as a plus. Mm-hmm. I watched a bunch of the videos a couple days ago, but mostly last night. And I kept saying to myself, okay, when does the money become worthwhile? And I don't think it ever did. I was like, the food looks okay. That'd be cool. And living in that sort of room where it's all themed and you have an adventure and it's all part of the story, that's pretty cool. But I also was like, yeah, but I'm not going to see the sun.
Mm-hmm. Like, they do have a little courtyard that's right? A Earth simulator.
Right. It feels very claustrophobic to me.
Yeah.
And it feels like, okay, we found a way to not have to pay for windows in our hotel.
There you go.
I could see where it'd be really cool. Like, you have that price. I still don't think it's worth it.
I know.
If it was an affordable thing, and by affordable, I mean comparable to a visit to the parks, maybe. I just don't see the value.
I think the value is subjective in the fact that, and it's a very small niche kind of person. The person, and I know that you like Star Wars growing up, but there are some people who lived Star Wars growing up and still do. And I know you like Star Wars, but you have other interests as well.
Right. No, yeah, absolutely. But
but
Star Wars I'm pretty close to a guy.
You
know,
are, and you do know a lot about it. But what has it ever been your dream to like live in Star Wars? That's never been my dream.
I will compare it this way. I cried when I was able to go to Galaxy's Edge day one. And
I know you did.
The corner.
I know you did.
Saw the Millennium Falcon.
I know you did.
So, is it the same as like? I mean, it's pretty deep. 77. There's not a Star Wars movie that has opened that I have not seen opening night, other than the first one. I have spent a lot of money on Star Wars stuff over the years. I bought Star Wars books and comics. I mean,
well, then, yeah,
there are people who are more intense Star Wars fans than me. I think particularly folks who grew up with the prequels, to whom it's like I don't get the people who are like, okay, my alliance is to the Empire. I'm like, I don't, what? The bad guys who are like Nazis, what? Like, that I don't get. But like, I'm a pretty intense Star Wars fan, but I am also someone who grew up poor, and like the value proposition.
Yeah, that is
when true. I see like $6,000 for a family of 4, I'm like, there was years where maybe my family lived on $6,000.
Yeah.
So obviously inflation and all that, but like,
yeah,
that is a lot of money.
And I want to, that is, oh, wow. It is a lot of money. It is a lot of money, even for somebody who didn't grow up poor. But middle class, it's still a lot of money. And for a family who has a daughter in college and helping their other daughter out with rent, then it's still a lot of money. And I just keep thinking of the fact that if we did have that money, is that what we would spend it on? Right. I mean, we vacation well, but for that amount of money, we could go for a very long time to somewhere that's not underground in Orlando.
Right.
Right. And so
you could go on an actual Disney cruise.
Yeah, you could. We could. Mm-hmm. So, but let me say we're kind of like knocking it down. I think for some people, it really would be great. And the only person I think it would be great for in our family, honestly, is Annika, and maybe Ed with Annika. Because I'm serious. Like, I was watching these videos and they are on missions all the time, and they have to talk to people all the time, and they have to figure out stuff all the time. And I'm like, no. My vacation, I don't want to see anybody. I don't want to talk to anybody. I am not paying $6,000 to go. Oh my God, all day.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's a huge part of it. As an introvert, I'm like, and again, I'm a theater guy, but my least favorite thing in theater is when they try to involve you.
I don't want to do that. So as somebody who like uses their vacation time and dollars to go away from the people, and even when our Disney vacations are crowded, we still try to find a way to go away from the people. I don't think that I think away from the people on this Galactic Starcruiser means that you're hanging out in your room or in the lobby, right? You're not hanging out by the pool all day reading the latest trashy novel with a umbrella drink in your hand.
You could be, but the whole time you're doing it, you're going to be thinking, I spent a lot of money to sit here.
There's no pool. There's no.
Oh, that's right. There's not even a space pool.
I didn't see one. So I think that people liked it who went. I just don't know that I could spend the money on it. I don't know that I could spend the money. There's one more thing I wanted to bring up that kind of has to do with our last podcast topic that Ed was talking about when we were watching videos. What happens when you go? And right now, like, we're watching the guests have fun interaction. They're so into Star Wars, so they're cosplaying with these beautiful costumes, right? Like handmade and everything like that. What happens when you walk onto the Starcruiser and you got your guy with the, Let's Go Brandon t-shirt on? I mean, Come on. So what I did see on the guidelines for the Starcruiser, I was wondering if they'd have, and even Ed was talking about that, for the amount of money you pay to go, they should have like a basic wardrobe for you. They should have like a Jedi robe. Put it in Jedi robe so that you are covered all the time, right? So if you do decide that you're going to, wear the t-shirt that says "but her emails" or whatever you do, these, or even some other dumb things I can't think of right now, that at least you guys are all kind of homogenous in your outerwear, in your wear. And so one of the things that I found on here was that costumes that may distract from the experience of other guests are not permitted.
Oh, interesting.
That is great. And I love
so
that.
You're saying they listened to our podcast.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And made changes accordingly.
Yeah. What I'm wondering is, and this is, again, totally different topic, going back to our last topic, why can't Disney put that on all of their parks? Why can't all of Disney's requirements be that shirt, outer clothing that distracts from the experience of other guests are not permitted? So anyway,
I mean, I wonder if that's one of the things they're trying with this, is to say, okay, can we get away with it here? If we don't get pushed back here, maybe we'll roll it out on other places. But I would also imagine that's probably going to be easier to get away with in this type of environment where like people are so motivated, right? Like to be like, oh my God, I spent $6,000. I'm not going to ruin it because I want to make a political point, rather than just sort of the numbers of the thousands of people that are trying to get into the 4 parks at Walt Disney World.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. So we'll have to see what happens with that for sure. Yeah, I just wonder. Well, and here's another thing. We were talking about the multitudes of YouTube videos and other type videos that are out there showing every square inch of the experience, right? And so I did find 2 videos that I absolutely loved with no spoilers, and I will attach those to our show notes. One is by Disney Food Blog. I loved it. It was a 20-minute video that gave no spoilers.
I really like Disney Food Blog.
I do too. They're kind of like, I kind of depend on them for a lot of information. I really like them a lot. The other that I found that I really liked is Here with the Ears. Here with the Ears is a couple that actually, I mean, they do a lot of Disney stuff. In fact, they lived for a whole year at Disney World, just room to room to room. It was kind of a cool experience. But they went on it as well. They also paid for their trip. So they have about a 17-minute video that's just them talking about what they like first thoughts when they first got home. What are their first thoughts? And so I appreciated that as well. No spoilers, just kind of thoughts. But if you want to see the experience, which if I'm paying $6,000 for 2 days, I might want to. I know people don't like spoilers, but I want to know what I'm going to get. So for me, it was definitely worth it to say, okay, you guys, thanks for going. Now I'm going to watch all what you did, because honestly, I don't know if I could justify it. I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe $6,000 will float from the sky one day and Ed will say, hey, let's go do this.
But again, even if it does, it's like my brain will never let go of what other more important purposes. Yeah. It's like, as a comic collector, right? And I think listeners know, I love comic books, particularly DC comic books, more than certain members of my own family. And if somebody just said, hey, Al, here's a pristine copy of Action Comics #1, the most valuable comic book, it's worth like $3 million, I doubt I'd keep it.
Yeah.
Because I'd be like, all right, let me go get the $3 million, because that's going to be a lot of money and can accomplish a lot of things. If not for me, then for people that I know. Like, it's just that amount of money. And honestly, I think for me, it's because growing up poor, it's hard, not only, even if I've got the money, it's hard to justify that as an appropriate use for it.
I think that's a wise thing to say, and a wise analysis of like who we are and all of this. And thinking of this just brings me to, there was an article in Bloomberg this week about people just being driven crazy because all the nickel and diming, right? That's happening with Disney, and it for some extent always happened, but it's getting worse in people's eyes. And so
now I think
you are going to be, if you can afford to go on the Galactic Starcruiser, then you have no problems, right? With money. You're not striving.
Well, one would hope. I also know there's a certain personality that would.
Yeah. Let's not worry about those people, because they need therapy. So we're talking about the people that actually would do that. And so there's a type of person that would do that. And this thing that makes me sad is, let's go switch focus over to the parks a little bit. And I'll put this in the show notes as well. Not only is Genie Plus, we talked about that a little bit before, about nickel and diming and paying for all these things. it just Chapek just did really well with the Bob Chapek, the
presidency.
Did really well with the shareholders recently because he just made a crap ton of money. And after COVID, people are going to Disney and it's crowded. We all know it's crowded. We've been talking
and
about
a lot of that money was made on Genie Plus.
A lot of the money is made on everything that's nickel and diming, and people are still paying for it. I was at work the other morning and we had a substitute teacher come in and overheard me talking Disney to another friend. And he had said that, he hadn't been to Disneyland since he was 5. I want to say this guy's in his early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And so he hadn't been to Disneyland since he was 5. They went in January to Disneyland this year, and they will probably never go back again because their experience was horrid. Right. They didn't know the whole Genie Plus system. They did do a little bit of research. Weren't expecting the crowds that we all know are happening right now. And so probably will never go back again. And I'm like, what's happening? I'm like, I don't even know if I can convince you, like, who's going now?
And here's the thing, right? Like, they did have a bad experience, right? And so what is going to motivate them to go again, right? And we've talked about this before. I think a lot of the efforts have been to even out the crowd so you don't have these certain days that are super crazy and other days that are super empty. But it kind of has, I think, had the net effect of, in an attempt to even it out so everybody has a similar experience, has pleased no one, right? Because as someone who went to the parks a lot, I knew, okay, go off season, midweek, use single rider lines and fast pass, and I will almost never have to wait in line, right? And now I'm like, when we went to Disney World, all we did was wait in lines. We even waited in line, not as long, for the stuff that we bought, the Genie Plus, which is what I'm calling the Lightning Lane, like the Genie Super Plus. And that's assuming we could get the Genie Super Plus, because honestly, by the time we wanted to do it a couple times, they were sold out. Like I would have loved to have done the new Star Wars ride more than once, but we could never, even though we were willing to spend the money, they weren't available.
It wasn't available. In just talking with a friend who is planning her trip for spring break, her husband and her 2 boys. And I just already told her, I'm like, just pay for it. You're going over spring break. You will need this. So you will pay for it. I mean, and they're not poor. Right. So they can. So she's already knows in her mind to have a good time over spring break when it's going to be crowded anyway. You buy the Genie Plus ahead of time. You're getting the individual lightning lanes and you plan for that in the morning. And even with mobile ordering now on your phone, you can even plan your meals ahead of time, right? When you're going to pick them up.
Yeah. So I will say the mobile ordering, I have no problems with.
No.
Like that is just amazing.
Keep that. So they already know that in addition to their hotel and in addition to their ticket price, which is so crazy expensive, we can get into that another time. They're going to already pay. They're going to pay for everything else. And we did that when Debbie was on the show a few times ago. She paid for everything automatically. And that was a good way to have a trip. But that is not affordable for everyone. That is not affordable for everyone.
It's affordable for the rare few.
And we were even talking how to have a good time when you're at Disney. You pay, right? You pay to have a good time. And if you even want to not worry yourself about planning all of what we were talking about, they have the VIP tours now, which you used to see we call them plaids, right? The guest service tour guys. We call them plaids because of what they wear. And the plaids, you'd see them once in a while and you're like, ooh, I wonder who those people are. Like they're celebrities or something. But now, no, everybody's getting the VIPs that can afford it, because if you have a group of 9 or 10, right? And we were looking at the prices. It's different. Disneyland charges differently than Disney World. Disney World charges by the hour, anywhere from $400 to $800, depending on the season, per hour.
Right.
Disneyland
has like a set price around $3,000 for group up to 10 for 7 hours.
But if you
but you have to pay to get into the park, so it ends up still being about $400 to $450 per hour per person, right? Which when we first started talking, I was like, oh, that's almost double. But I'm like, okay, let's just use the number $500 per hour or $500 per person to do 7 hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
If by the time I paid for the park and paid for Genie Plus and paid for like the lightning lane, right, which I may or may not get, if I pay twice as much and literally I'm like, I'm going to be guaranteed to get on everything I want to get on that day, it's still a lot of money. But if let's say I've only got one day, it might be worth it.
Especially because it's a set price. So even if you have 10 people, like if you're going with other families, you can split that cost up. Right. And so then that becomes more affordable for you that way.
Or if you've got an annual passport or Magic Key in Disneyland.
Good point.
Right. So you sort of amortize that per day cost. Honestly, if you're a Magic Key holder, it might actually be worth it because that takes you down to like $300 per person.
Yeah, I don't know, but people are doing it a lot. And we were kind of laughing when after you left at Disney World, the four of us.
Well, yeah, because I left. I think that's a little bit rude.
Yeah. Well, you left. You made that decision. Yeah. We were on the monorail going somewhere, and a plaid took. It looked like a grandma, a mom, and 2 kids, and they got on the monorail as well. And they were just taking a trip on the monorail, right? So they were taking.
You paid a lot of money to ride the monorail.
So Emma, the whole time, Emma's like trying to calculate it, like how much is that trip around the monorail? They just paid $500 to go around the monorail.
But honestly, my mom passed a little over 20 years ago. If she was alive, I could still not for the money, but I could totally see my mom being like, "No, I just want to ride the monorail." We'd be like, "Mom, but there's all of this stuff." I said, "I want to ride the monorail."
I'm fine with that, man.
Yeah,
but you pay that much. I don't know. So there's an affordability question that's coming up nowadays, and I don't know what to tell you. And as far as like a dueling Disney duel for this subject, I don't know that we disagree. Yeah. It's a lot of flipping money. But is with us in the, I know your background. And if people don't know Al's background, well, he already said it. He grew up poor. I grew up poor. I grew up middle class.
I grew up poor. Let me tell you.
No respect.
There was no respect at all.
So who then are the people taking advantage of this? And there are.
Here's the thing. Like there's folks who this is worth the splurge, right? And for me, the VIP tour is a little more worth.
I think so.
I could conceivably see a way to make that work.
Right.
Rather than like the Galactic Starcruiser.
I agree with that too. So yeah, I looked at the Galactic Starcruiser availability. I wanted to see like, okay, how far out is the book? It's not. You can go tomorrow if you want. I mean, it's not like it's the Wish, the Disney Wish maiden voyage is coming up this summer. It's not, that one's booked forever, right?
Yeah.
It's not like Galactic Starcruiser is. So is it sustainable for them?
Well, I just wonder if they're setting the rates this high at the beginning. And I don't think those rates can reasonably last forever. I just don't think they can. And honestly, in watching the videos, it seems like a lot of fun, but it's not enough value proposition in it. Like, am I going to leave with my own real life working lightsaber? No.
You can buy one?
Yeah. Again, am I going to like hang out with Mark Hamill at dinner? No. Right? Like that would be cool. I would do that. That might be, I think either they're going to have to bring the price down or add more to it, because right now what you're paying for is, and I can't get over this half day at Batu thing. And I love Batu. You're paying for a day and a half.
Mm-hmm.
A day and a half. You're sleeping like 8 hours of that day, right? Like a couple meals. And it's 4 meals and a snack. I'm like, wait a minute, I can't even get 3 meals a day. Like
I think there's food all like a cruise though. I think you can pick up food all day.
Yeah. I don't know. I was looking at the actual contract and I think it's you could be right, but it pretty specifically said 4 meals.
Oh,
and
right. Let's talk about really quick. Let's go talk about the food that they have on Galactic Starcruiser. And I say this because I am a foodie and I love all food. I'm like, give me the food. Let me try it. Is it gross? I don't care. I want to try it for one time. That's fine. That's who I am. A lot of people in this country are not like that. And so when you see the blue shrimp or when you see the, frou-frou Jello or whatever, I'm making that up, but
frou Jello sounds tasty.
A lot of people are like, give me the mac and cheese, right? Give me the kids mac and cheese, because I'm kind of that
way. I'm kind of that way. Like, I'll try it, but at the same time, I have a sensitive disposition, and so I also don't want to eat something that's kind of out of the ordinary, then get sick because my stomach gets upset, and then oh my God, I'm spending $6,000 to be sick in my room.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, okay. So we definitely agree on this. We agree on this. I need to hear from someone.
We need to argue more. We're becoming like, as Dueling Disney, we need to mix it up. Come on. Disneyland versus Disney World. Remember those days?
But the good news is that we had the Dueling Disney community duelists. So I'm wondering if any of our duelists out there disagree with us. I need to have somebody come to me and say, no, you guys, it is worth it, and here's why.
Right.
So if that is,
or to say like, Al, you're wrong. You obviously don't love Star Wars. You're probably a secret Trekkie. You can say that too. I'll disagree and fight you, but feel free to say it.
Well, this is where you guys come in. All right. I want you to go to Facebook. I know some of you aren't Facebookers. That's okay. But if you are on Facebook, I want you to go to Dueling Disney Community Duelists. And I want you to add yourself to that group so you can be part of the conversation. I'll put everything that we talked about on our duelingdisney.com for show notes. And we are always on Facebook at Dueling Disney, Twitter and Instagram at Dueling_Disney. And we want to see your pictures. Just hashtag Dueling Disney and we will see those. But let us know, you guys. We need to know if anybody out there can convince us that this price tag is worth it.
Particularly Disney itself, who wants to just send a free trip. Because if it's free, I totally want to do it. That'd be awesome.
I don't know. I'm even like, I was watching it and I was like, oh, I don't know.
Honestly, it feels a little claustrophobic to me. I'm not going to lie.
All right, guys, you know what you have to do. Go do it.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome. Dueling Disney is your podcast. Here, age relives fond memories of the past, and here youth may savor the challenge and promise of the future. Dueling Disney is dedicated to the ideals, the dreams, and the hard facts that have created America, with hope that it will be a source of joy and inspiration to all the world.